happy Friday to everyone in the world. It was our UAE weekend last night, but it's your weekend now. Got to say, we do things right on Hollywood Balls, so it's a massive welcome back for the only Englishman to have managed 6 national clubs. Also, let me add to that, the FIFA president wrote the foreword in his book. It's a massive welcome back to Hollywood Balls for Stephen Constantine. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks. Nice to meet you.
Listen, it's great to have you back. We've got so much to cover. Get straight into it, though, because it is a Euro show. Just get your thoughts, as we do with all our guests so far. What's your thoughts on the Euros?
I think it's been quite good, actually. Some good football's been played. I do like the way they use the VAR as well.
Stephen, have you got any headphones just for me to be a pain? I'm not sure, but I think we might be getting some echo from you. If you can find some, and I'll speak to George.
1 second, guys. Okay. All right, I'm back to you.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're just going to get Stephen to pop some headphones in as well.
We were hearing an echo, were we?
Yeah, just getting a little bit of feedback in there. George, people are delighted that you're not in your car.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you, though.
Modern technology.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Pete. Yeah, sorry, I had to the last 2 calls from the car, but it worked okay, though, right?
Oh, it was absolutely perfect. But all of the fans, they were worried that your wife had actually made you do your show from the car because she was sick of the Euros so far. We had so many comments last night.
I've always said our community is very smart.
They know.
Is that? Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah, so we're talking, Stephen, thoughts on the Euros so far?
Yeah, look, I think it's been quite a decent tournament. I do believe the teams that were expected to go to the last 16 went. I have to say that I'm quite pleased with how quick the VAR has been used. I hope the Premier League are watching, and everybody else. Looking forward to the last 16.
It's going to be quite the last 16. I've got to say, because of this, George, you're going to love this. All of our Welsh community who are watching from the UAE. Let me just say that George has been championing you all the way. Very importantly, though, there's a guy who was in Baku, George. He's the head of the Welsh society from football society from Dubai, and he's got a message. And I asked him. I said, "Could we get in touch with you?" Because he's literally so excited. Because Wales go first, don't they, in the last 16?
Yeah.
Let's hear from John Dyke.
Hello, Hollywood Balls fans. My name's John Dyke, Dubai Welsh supporters and a Cardiff City fan. Obviously, we've been loving our Euro adventures again this tournament. I think the only down has been that the Red Wall haven't been able to travel. Welsh fans are not even allowed into Holland for the game tomorrow against Denmark, which I think is disgusting. I was lucky enough to go over to Baku for the first round games. It was brilliant. I think the team have played superbly. We look really hard to beat. I fancy us to go further. I don't see why we can't beat Denmark tomorrow. I think it'll be a tight game. I'd say 2-1. I fancy Kiefer Moore, Ballon d'Or, to pop up with a goal. And I'm sure Gareth Bale will want to get on the score sheet.
Big John Dyke there. Brilliant.
I couldn't agree with him more. Actually, I think Wales have been really good. I think Rob Page has done an absolutely marvelous job, and you got to give him and the staff credit. But yeah, I don't see why they can't beat Denmark either.
Yeah, I think he's spot on. I mean, it's going to be a close game. Wales have done phenomenally well. I mean, let's remind everybody, Wales is a nation of 3 million people, right? So they've done phenomenally well, and I fancy their chances against Denmark. Difficult to beat. They got some world beaters in their team. Yeah, it's great. It's such a shame Welsh supporters can't go to the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's poor.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Of course.
Touching on what you said, George. You mentioned a 3 million population. Uruguay has a population of 4 million.
Yeah.
And they've won the World Cup. So what does that mean? It's nothing about numbers. It's about the quality of the coaches in the country who are producing the players, whether they're 3 million, 4 million, or 1 billion in India's case. So if the quality of coaching is good, then you're going to get the quality of players. And you have to respect the Welsh FA and everything they've done in the last 10, 12, 15 years on that. I just needed to say that.
So what does that say about England, who haven't won anything since 1966?
Well, England, about 15 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, decided to change how they're going to approach youth football, how they're going to educate the coaches and the players. And you are just seeing that now.
Yeah, the benefits of that. Yeah.
Right. And you wait till next year at the World Cup. England are going to be better than they are now. I would love to see them win it. I don't think they have enough to win it, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's all about infrastructure, isn't it? Coaching is a very big part of that, but it's not the only part of it, right? It's the whole infrastructure approach. And England was terrible. Many European countries have been way ahead of England traditionally, the Germans, the Dutch, in terms of having infrastructure from grassroots levels. And to your point, it's only been 15 years now since England have woken up. And I think you're right. Now you're seeing so many beautiful flair players.
I mean, you go back 2 years. England won the under-17 World Cup. They won the Euros under-19, I believe. They went to the final in the under-20s. And these players are starting to come up. I mean, you don't do that overnight, but it's the infrastructure. But trust me, if the kids are being taught by quality coaches, they will produce quality players.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
Yeah.
I love having you two guys on. You've got two guys from London. One's Arsenal, one's Spurs, and you know there's always going to be a little bit in there. It's brilliant. But I'm going to come back to you, Stephen. And Stephen said the most brilliant thing before we came on air. I said, listen, this is what we do. We run through the Euros. And I said, for the people that haven't seen you on our last show, and Stephen just interrupted me and said, why haven't they? So listen, Stephen, you're ripping it up with Paphos at the moment. You're on a bit of a run. Tell us how it's going.
Well, the season finished about 3 weeks ago. We unfortunately didn't make it to the final group of 6. So the league was how it was in Scotland, top 6 split, and then so we had. We missed it, I think, by a point or 2. I only arrived as the manager in February, beginning of February. And we finished top of the 8 group team. I think we won 12 out of the 18 games, drew 2 and lost 4. So I thought we did quite well.
Yeah, Steve, he turned it around incredibly. You just wonder what Paphos could have achieved if Steve was there for the whole season. Right.
Exactly. Exactly. And I know Steve feels strongly about it, and this is why we've got him back on, because it was fascinating. We had Lee Clark on the other night, and we were talking about the Euros from a managerial perspective, which is why I wanted Stephen on. But it's basically to get him just to explain where he's at and what's happening. So you were happy with that record, because we've been in touch, and I said to George, I have to check all the scores from the guests that come on, but since you were on our first show, we're in regular WhatsApp contact. I follow the scores. I follow what's going on. Big interview that you've just done, which is absolutely mega, by the way.
Thank you.
And it's fascinating to see what you're doing as a coach.
Wow, I'll have to make you my agent. Look, I love the game. I love what I do, and I try to get good people around me that help me. It's never a one-man band, and I think we did a pretty decent job in Bafos. I'm not sure whether I'll be there next season or not. But that's football. I mean, who knows?
Well, we all hope that you are. We're going to dive back into the Euros, because obviously we've mentioned Wales, and we wish John and all of his fellow compatriots. I really hope that they can beat Denmark, so that they can. He's all ready to go, George. He's ready to go to the quarterfinals after that. Yeah. So we've got our fingers crossed. But I'm going to ask you, George. Can you remember Frank Skinner and David Bediel? They used to have a show, right?
Yeah.
And they had a statter one there.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm so young, so it's only a few years back, a very good school friend of mine is exactly this. This guy can pull stats. He does no research, and I've asked him to do a few bits for Hollywood Balls and TFA, and I want to show you. He's previewing England, Germany, and he's done this off. Literally without no research. Okay. Welcome to Hollywood Balls for this guy. You'll love him.
Hello there. It is Geordie Dave Huggan here from Sydney, Australia. Hello to all Hollywood Balls fans. So, England versus Germany in Euro 2020. Wow, what a game. So, what's the history look like? 1966, of course, World Cup final, England 4, Germany 2. After extra time, Jeff Hurst hat-trick. Then revenge for Germany in 1970 in the Mexico World Cup when they won 3-2. The next big meeting was 1990 World Cup in Italy, semi-finals. Germany won on penalties. Same result in 96 at the Euros at Wembley. Again, Germany winning on penalties. Andreas Müller scoring the winning kick. Gareth Southgate missed the crucial penalty as well. 2000 in the group stage, England beat Germany 1-0, Alan Shearer, and then they met again 10 years later in the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. Germany winning 4-1 in the second round. But who's going to win this time? I reckon it'll go to penalties, and then who knows what might happen, just as long as Gareth Southgate isn't coaching the penalty sessions this week. All right, enjoy the game, and I'll hand back over to Pete.
Our news. I thought I knew about it. Yeah, I tell you, this guy does it. He knows everything from memory. Yeah. Quite incredible. So even it is a massive. It wouldn't be the Euros without England, Germany, would it?
Yeah, I think he's spot on. It's going to be a close game. He's on the money. It could go to penalties. If it goes to penalties, I don't fancy England's chances. So
come on,
England.
George.
Now listen, look, England. If it goes to penalties, Harry will take the first penalty. He'll score after that. I judge it by the keeper. Neuer, I think, is better at stopping penalties than Pickford. So I would hope the game's over before penalties.
You would hope so, Stephen. What's your take on it? As a coach, it's a fascinating encounter. Everyone says that you'll never have a better chance but I hate all that. You'll never have a better chance of beating Germany, because there's just a thing about that game, isn't there?
Yeah, look, I think you really do have to put history out the window.
Okay.
Different players, different game, different venue. Everything is different. So different players also. I think it will depend a lot how brave Gareth Southgate's going to be with his 11. Okay?
Totally agree.
Personally, I would have had Grealish in from the start of the first game. I think I'm not comparing him to Gascoigne, but we have not had a player like Gascoigne who can go past people, change the game in a heartbeat since Gascoigne. And I think Grealish does that. And I don't care where you play him, get him on the pitch.
Can I just ask you, though, Stephen, as a coach as well, and I'm fascinated to know, I've watched England so far, and I know, I don't mean to be disrespectful to Jack Grealish and hype, and everyone thinks he should play, but for me, Saka, young Saka, he was more like Gascoigne to me. He drove at people in that last game. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, Saka was fantastic. But I you know my perspective, Pete. I completely agree with Stephen. Grealish, I think Grealish has so much that the national team should be built around him, in my opinion, for what that's worth.
Going back to your question, I didn't say Saka shouldn't be playing either.
No.
You know, so I don't see why both of them can't play. They're both game-changing players, and I think Mount is great, and then we have some other quality players as well. But you know, first game we're sitting back with two defensive midfield players in Declan Rice and Phillips. We need to win the game. We need to be a bit more adventurous, but you know.
Well said.
Listen, guys, your first code, because I'm getting carried away because we love having Stephen on. We're already 18 minutes in. Your first part of the code for your TFA bonus room is 2929. There you go. You've got it.
Pete, could I just interrupt and just share with you?
Of course you can.
You mentioned that show where they had the stats, with the statistician, right? They also had, but if you remember, a big part of that show, they did redos of big footballing events, in a game. And the one I love,
the Flames, it was called.
That's right, Phoenix, and I love the one with Naeem and Seaman from the halfway line, and actually, and they got Seaman there.
Can I flip him with two fingers?
But it was so funny. But it was well, Naeem wasn't a Spurs player then. It was Sevilla, I think. Was it Sevilla? Yeah, I think it was Sevilla.
He was.
Yeah. But you guys celebrated like he was a Spurs player, though. I remember.
Well, he used to play for Spurs, right? Naeem,
okay, gents, listen. Let's take North London out of this. Honestly, it's fascinating, and like I said, we had Darren Anderson on last night, Lee Clark the night before. So, but when you're speaking from a managerial point of view, it's absolutely amazing. I've got to ask. I'm going to come to you first, George. We've had John's message on, and you fancy Wales. Are you going to take them? Yeah.
I look. It's a close game, but I'm going for Wales. Absolutely.
Stephen, Italy play Austria, and an amazing stat that Italy are unbeaten in their last 13 meetings. You've got to go back to 1960 since Austria had a result against Italy. And also, I was looking today, Italy are on their best run, equivalent best run of all time. They've won 20 and drawn 5 of their last 25. There's no way you can not see Italy progressing, is there?
No, I can't. I honestly think they're one of the best sides. They came in as apparently not favourites or not one of the favourites, but the way they've played in the last 3 games and their willingness to hunt down the players when they don't have the ball, it's really I love it. I mean, I think they work very, very hard off the ball, and I see only one result. It's Italy win. So
yeah, I would say Italy has been a pleasure to the eye, has been the standout team so far. They play the game. You want to see the way the game is played, right? It's free flowing. It's aggressive. It's tremendous movement. If they win the competition, nobody can complain. On the first 3 games, they deserve to win it. It's still a long way to go.
And George is sat with a blue T-shirt on, by the way. He's been talking about Italy on every show, and his accent's definitely got that Bologna tint to it. He's going to be called Giorgio before long. Listen, another one for me. Don't be surprised if you've got a shock here. I fancy Croatia. Spain haven't been brilliant, have they? Apart from that one game, but I do fancy Croatia. Stephen?
So yeah, I do as well. Yeah, I haven't been impressed. I think this fad that we that's what I'm going to call it, possession based football, and having the ball for the sake of having the ball and going sideways and backwards. I mean, for me, this is not football. And Spain have done that in the first 2 games. Happy to have possession, happy to keep the ball, but not really doing anything or too much with it. At least not in the first 2 games. So they maybe woke up in the 3rd game, and if they try and play keep ball with Croatia, I think they're going to have a problem.
George, your thoughts?
I think Croatia will win, only because of the experience. It seems that Spain has so many new younger players in the team. They're not playing with an aplomb like Italy are. Nothing surprises us. But if I'm going for someone, I'm going to give it to Croatia based on their experience.
Okay, second part of the code for you guys. Can't believe it's 7:25 already in the UAE, 4:25 in the UK, 6:25 in Cyprus, right, George? The second part of the code is 3232. Okay, so what have I got? Got to ask you, Stephen, about. I mean, you said that the season's over, but what happens now with regards to players, transfers? Does that still, do you look at? Are you now looking at players, analysing them for next season?
Well, ideally, if I was under contract, I would be. But I think for me, looking for players begins way back. I mean, we have the January window, for example.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for players in November and December.
Okay.
I've already identified the players that are going to be free, that are going to be released. That could help me in positions that I need. So by the time the window opens, I'm going to be in the first week of that window. I'm going to try and make as many signings as I can. And as soon as the window closes, you see how the season goes. So for me, maybe end of January, February, I'm thinking if I get this, I can finish in the top 6, or I want to be in the top 6 next season. What do I need? And then you have the process of players under contract, players who haven't done enough, players you want to release, identifying players that you want to get within budget, and it's a whole massive process that the manager or the coach generally takes.
Okay, now what we do is, because we literally are in the last 5 minutes of our half an hour Euros bulletin, we always ask our guest a last couple of important questions. So we ask players who the toughest opponent is, but from a coach and a manager's perspective, who's the best player that you've worked with, Stephen?
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's a tough question.
Yeah, I honestly... I could not answer simply because I'm going to get grief from several other of the boys. Well, you didn't mention me, so look, I think every player that I've worked with, there are pluses and minuses. I've always felt that if they want, I can make them better, and I believe in working with players on and off the pitch. So I don't know if I dodged that one, but
no, you haven't dodged it. I'll tell you what I'll do. It's probably my fault for the question. If I'm going to ask you this as a fan, as certain coaches have different aspects of the team that they want to build a team around. Do you go defensively first, or do you look at a kingpin in the middle, or a goal scorer? What would you build a team around?
I think forwards win your games.
Yeah.
Defenders win your championships.
Yeah.
So
great.
Be hard to beat. I'll get the goal. 1-0 to the Arsenal.
George, you knew that the Arsenal.
Sorry, I fell asleep then. Sorry.
Gonna keep Stephen on the spot. Who wins the Euros, Stephen?
My heart says England. My brain says Italy.
Yep. George, you go with that?
I'm going to go Italy too.
Can we have North London agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going Italy too. I think France. It's between France and Italy, but I'm going for Italy.
Yeah. I agree. It's between France and Italy.
Yeah.
And I can't let Stephen go because I know he's a massive Arsenal fan, so I can't let him go. I'm going to put him off the coach's pedestal and into the fan zone. What do Arsenal have to do next season in order for them to not have such a poor season?
Aside from give me the job, I think we are 3 or 4 players away from being a competitive top 6.
Okay.
That's what I would say. I don't know how much money the manager has to spend. I like some of the signings. Partey, I think, is going to be brilliant for us.
Yeah.
I like that we've got a couple of young kids coming through. Saka obviously is going to be quality, but I do think we are 3 or 4 signings away from being a massively competitive team, and I don't want another season like we've had.
Look, I would say this. Although it feels like an age for an Arsenal fan, I think Arteta is carefully building a very good team and squad. The word is Arsenal are going to buy White from Brighton for between 45 and 50 million pounds. That's another quality signing if that happens. Partey was a quality signing. I think with just a little bit of momentum, Arsenal could be back at the races. I'm way more concerned about my lot than I am about Arsenal, I'll tell you that.
By the way, that's one job I would turn down.
Brilliant.
It's funny you should say that because I know Daniel Levy and he asked me about you and I said you're not in. I said you're not interested. So that's
well done. Cheers.
Listen, guys. My favourite message of the night has to be from Ame. Please, Geordie, it would be good to make French people here know about the code that you're giving because some don't speak English. I have to say, I'm Geordie, I'm not even English, so my French is absolutely appalling. But I'm just about to give you the last part of the code. So if either of you two gentlemen can help me in French, it would be great. Your last part of the code for the evening is SB. So you've got 2932 SB, and that's your full code for the evening.
2932 S for Sam, B for boy.
Yep, there we go. It is in English. It is in Geordie. Stephen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'd love to get you on again before the end of the Euros. It's always great hearing you and George match up against Arsenal and Spurs. It takes Newcastle right out of the firing line. Thank you so much. And I'll be writing to Newcastle to see if you fancy that job.
I'd love that job, by the way.
Yeah.
Massive club.
Take care, Stephen. Thank you for
Take care,
joining
guys.
us.
Stephen, take care,
Take care.
guys.
Bye. Bye.
Uh,